Challengers was one of my surprise hits of last year. There were a few things that I saw come up a lot in the discourse around it. The crazy camera work of the final scene, the cool house music score, people talking about how it was bringing sexy movies back, the very specific kinds of food that keep showing up. But something that I didn't see was people talking about it as a sports movie. In some ways this isn't surprising. Professional tennis is our story world and there's plenty of scenes, even important ones, where the main characters play tennis. But it takes a back seat to the main love triangle conflict. Despite not looking like what we typically expect from the genre, Challengers has become my new gold standard for sports movies, and I want to dig into why. I'm Evan Wessman, and this is an interior analysis of Challengers. In American culture, we have created a pretty stereotypical idea of a great sports story. Often, it involves an underdog overcoming the odds to win a big competition, or it might focus on a single athlete and their struggle and legacy. And usually, the climax of the story will come down to the most dramatic set of circumstances the given sport can provide. But I've never been much of a fan of those. Don't get me wrong, I understand the appeal. I was a big sports fan as a kid, I've seen my favorite teams win and lose championships, and I played sports my whole life growing up. I still do. Well, I guess I really only do one now. But I understand the appeal of the inherent drama of sports, both as a fan and an athlete. In real sports, moments like a walk-off home run, a pick six, hitting a buzzer beater, or sinking a big putt are exhilarating because they're so rare and unexpected. In the moments before they happen, nothing is guaranteed and anything is possible. But as soon as you present those same events in context of a conventional story structure, the appeal is lost. The underdog stories and spectacular moments that are so rare and unexpected in real sports are exactly what we have been conditioned to expect from sports movies. A movie like Miracle loses all of the drama of the real game because we already know the outcome. Even if you don't know anything about the real event when you start watching, it's not exactly hard to guess the ending. No matter how amazing a historic sporting event was to watch live, a dramatized version of it can never put you on the edge of your seat the way that the real thing could. Despite that, we keep telling these kinds of stories, and even if some of them are good, I've always felt like they focus on the wrong aspects of sports. Then I saw Challengers. Challengers breaks the mold of sports stories by shifting its focus. Justin Koritsky's and Luca Guadagnino both know that if they want to get us invested, it isn't enough just to show us a fictional high-stakes tennis match. They take it an extra step. 3 extra steps, actually. So let's look at each of them. Challengers is not the kind of sports story I was talking about a minute ago. The plot of the movie shows us the kinds of experiences that we don't normally hear from our most famous athletes. Zendaya's character Tashi and Josh O'Connor's character Patrick were both prodigies with tons of potential, but who never made it as adults. Tashi because of an injury that ended her career, and Patrick because of a lack of commitment and discipline. And our third character, Art, is a professional on the decline. We're not seeing the stories of champions, we're seeing the stories of people who couldn't make it in one way or another. This is something that I think fictional sports movies don't take advantage of enough. The experiences that Challengers focuses on are real experiences that athletes have, but not the kind that we tend to celebrate or hear about. I expect that one day we'll get the biopic about Tom Brady starring Glenn Powell, but I think that's a waste of an opportunity. We know Tom Brady's story. We don't hear about the Tashis who had great promise, but had their career killed by an injury before it could even get started. Or the Patricks who struggle in obscure lower-tier competitions and never reach their potential. And even a figure like Art, who is successful enough to make it into the public eye, is a kind of athlete who tends to fade into obscurity. By making the characters fictional, and making them the types of sports figures that we're less used to seeing, Koritsky's and Guadagnino give themselves the freedom to tell a unique story and examine experiences that are very common among athletes, but aren't usually highlighted. One of the first things that clued me in that this was going to be a good sports movie was that the central tennis match is as low stakes as possible. In the world of tennis, this is the most meaningless tournament imaginable. There's very little money on the line, there's no glory to be gained, nobody in the wider world of tennis will know or care who wins. Careers will not be made or broken here. Because of this, our focus is redirected to the characters' internal stakes. This game won't impact the world of tennis or how these characters will be remembered, but by the time we get to the final set, we understand that it will have life-changing impacts for all three of them. Art has lost his desire to be a pro tennis player, and both he and Patrick are approaching the end of the years that they can make a legitimate shot at making a name for themselves. And the outcome of the game will potentially determine who Tashi chooses as a protege and life partner. A lot of sports movies do something similar to this. The hockey game in Miracle and the boxing match in Rocky IV are both proxies for the Cold War. The final golf tournament in Happy Gilmore will determine whether his grandmother gets to keep her house. Some even bring in character stakes, like Adonis Creed making a name for himself in his climactic fight. Or broader implications for the future of the sport, like Jackie Robinson's performance on and off the field setting a precedent for future black baseball players. Challengers may not match some of these stakes in terms of historical or objective importance, but it does a good job of making us understand the character's investment in the stakes. This game will determine the future of these characters' relationship, and by the time we get to it, we've learned so much about their past conflicts and present mindsets that it's hard to predict how they can possibly be resolved in this game, or even what kind of outcome we're rooting for. It takes almost the entire movie to give us the context we need, but ultimately the climactic tennis match is infused with the kind of tension that so many other sports movies fail to achieve. Our two players have lost their passion for the game, but the circumstances that have been created give them the reason they need to care again. The external stakes couldn't be lower, but the internal stakes couldn't be higher. Sports are primarily a physical undertaking, but all sports have a different mental element that comes into play with them. I think if you're going to tell a story that centers around a sport, you need to hone in on what kind of internal struggle happens in your sport of choice, and what themes it's primed to explore. Boxing and wrestling both involve a lot of pain, so those movies tend to focus on mental toughness and resilience, and in some cases aggression. American football and soccer are sports where one weak link or a lack of coordination can spell disaster for the whole team, so those stories tend to be about teamwork. And Challengers really understands what tennis is good at exploring.
It's a relationship.
Is that what you and Anna Miller had today?
It is, actually. For about 15 seconds there, we were actually playing tennis. And we understood each other completely. So did everyone watching. It was like we were in love. We went somewhere really beautiful together.
More than most other sports, singles tennis is a pure battle. There's no teammates, there's no variety of circumstances like in golf. It's just one player's skills pitted against the other. So on a mental level, the key factor is knowledge of your opponent. The random people on the sidelines of this match are just watching two people who are really good at tennis sweat it out. But Tashi and the audience are clued into what's really happening. This match carries years of history and an intimate understanding between the players. The objectively best tennis player in the world doesn't have the ability to get in Art's head and exploit his weaknesses and insecurities the way Patrick does. The seamless coordination they have in the one doubles match we see them play at the beginning now becomes weaponized as they are pitted against each other. Even if you didn't walk out of Challengers thinking about the tennis of it all, I think it does a better job than most sports movies of telling the kind of sports story that isn't normally seen in a way that only fictional dramatizations can effectively do. And I think these three techniques can be applied beyond just sports movies. Creating internal stakes, finding the right characters and aspects of a story world to focus on, and choosing a theme that fits with your subject matter are all good techniques to employ with stories of several different genres. What theme is your science fiction concept primed to explore? How can you make the stakes of your action movie more compelling than the hero beating the villain? What aspect of a historical time and place can you bring attention to that isn't normally highlighted in our history books? I think these are all good questions to ask when you're in the early phases of outlining a story, or if you find that it's lacking something at a later stage of writing. So that's all I got for this one. I hope you got something out of it. It's been a long time since I did a video about just one movie and not a whole series or a trend. All the way back to Casino Royale, which was over 4 years ago now. If you're new here, we have a lot of other video essays you can check out, and we have our podcast channel where we've discussed over 100 different movies by now, as well as our Patreon. Let me know if you agree or disagree with some of my points here, or if there's other movies that are good examples of what I talked about in this video, because I'm very interested to find more sports movies like this. And if there's a movie or trend or a concept that you want us to talk about, let us know that too. And of course, you can do all the like and subscribe stuff and follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky. Links are in the description. It would be cool to get us to 1,000 subscribers, so if you've been a fan for a bit and you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.